Alright, welcome and congratulations. We are officially done with government. We're not going to talk about government anymore until we're doing SOL review. But we're going to start talking about economics. So on the packet you were received when you walked in the room today, the first page of it is a warm-up. We're probably done with that by now, so go ahead, flip to the second page. Alright, so economics is the study of how we make decisions in a world where resources are limited. If we had unlimited resources, if there's unlimited water, unlimited food, unlimited AirPods, unlimited whatever you could think of, everything would be free, right? Everything would be easy, everything would be free, maybe quite boring, but everything would be free. And there'd be no real tough decisions to be made. But unfortunately, we don't live in that world. We live in a world of limited resources. So economics is a study of how people make decisions in a world with limited resources. So there's two different types of economics that you need to know. Microeconomics means looking at the small picture, looking at things that are small. So taking an individual and trying to make sense of the decisions an individual would make in a given circumstance, or of a small business. So microeconomics looks at individuals and small businesses. Macroeconomics looks at the decisions made by societies, made by industries, made by governments. What kind of regulations are we going to have? What kind of actions does a society deem allowable in our economic context? What kind of industries will pop up and what decisions will these industries make? How are they going to conduct their business? That is a macroeconomic question. An economic system is a way a group of people produce the things they want and need. So here in the United States, currently today, we employ workers or utilize machines to create goods that people buy. And these machines are owned by companies, or the employees are employed by companies. And these companies sell these goods for a profit. Not all economic systems work that way. Think before the Civil War in the United States. In the South, their economic system could be defined by slavery, because they used slaves to produce the things they wanted and needed. In other areas of the world today, the government decides what will be made, how much of it will be made, and for what price it will be sold. So there are many different types of economic systems. But before we can learn about all that, we need to know what a need is. It's something I've said a couple times already. What is a need? A need is something that someone has to have. They must have it, or else they cannot live. So this is things like food, water, and shelter. Food, water, and shelter. Now you might say, okay, does that mean cheese pizza is a need? Do you need to eat cheese pizza? The answer is no. You do need to eat food, and cheese pizza is a food, but it does not have to be cheese pizza. It could be any number, different types of food. You need water, you need shelter from the environment to keep yourself safe. These are your three core needs. Anything else, anything that does not satisfy your need of shelter, of water, or of food is a want. Everything else. So almost everything that you interact with, almost everything that you're going to buy, is a want. Everything that you are desiring that you don't need to live is a want. So because, as I said at the beginning, resources are limited, that means that there is a scarcity. Scarcity means that resources are limited. We don't have enough resources to make as many things as we could possibly want to have, right? So things are scarce. There's also a word that's very similar. They have a slight difference. A word shortage. So scarcity means that things are limited, right? A shortage means that it's in short supply. There's not enough of supply to meet the demand. So I've been using the example of water. Water is limited. There's a limited amount of water on Earth. Is it possible to use it all? Yes. However, at least in the United States, pretty much any time you turn on a water fountain or a faucet, water will be coming out. You have to pay for it, sure, but there's really no fear of us running out of water. So there's not a shortage of water. Um, I was told that AirPods around Christmas time, they were very difficult to find in the Apple stores. Stores were running out of AirPods because they were so popular. They're in such high demand. Because people wanted so many of them, stores were running out. There was a shortage of AirPods. So because shortages are possible, because scarcity is possible, we study economics, right? To see how people are going to make decisions in a world of scarcity. So every time you make a decision, you're exchanging one thing for another. You're giving up something to get another thing. And this is one form of a trade-off is called an opportunity cost. An opportunity cost is the value of the next best thing that you could have got with your money or your time. The value of the next best thing. So you could say that your opportunity cost is what you lost by doing whatever it is you wanted to do. So let's imagine you were given a $100 bill and you could spend it on whatever you wanted to spend it on. And you decide that out of everything in the world with that $100 bill, you want to make, or you want to buy a new sweatshirt, a new sweater, a new hoodie. So you buy this new hoodie, you're happy with it. However, in the back of your head, you weren't sure if you really wanted the hoodie or a new pair of shoes. So you ended up going with the hoodie at the opportunity cost of getting that other pair of shoes because that was the next best thing. So I'm going to give you an example. You have a $100 bill. You are going to spend it on a computer. You spend your $100 bill on a computer. Next in line for you was going to be a nice new pair of shoes. And third in line is going to be a whole bunch of music. What is the opportunity cost? If you thought to yourself shoes, you are right. The shoes are the opportunity cost. The music is not, because the music came in third place. The opportunity cost is what came in second, right? The next best thing. Alright, so we've covered a lot of terms. We're going to cover a few more. Factors of production. These are the things necessary to produce goods and services. Those are factors of production. The things you need to produce goods and services. You've learned about resources in 6th grade. We're going to kind of change it up a little bit from what you learned. And here are the 4 things that you need. You need land, labor, capital, and an entrepreneur. So land means natural resources, things that are unchanged by man. So if you think about our school, like our school is built on land, so that's a very obvious connection there. So if you could think to yourself of other natural resources that went into building our school. Alright, next is labor. These are people, right? Human resources. It could be both mental and physical work. So if you're thinking about what it takes to build a building in terms of human resources, you could have the actual construction workers building the building, plumbers, electricians, the architect. All of these things are needed to build that building. These all would fall under human resources. Then we have capital. right? The capital um, means goods used to make other goods. They are things to make other goods. So in this image here, we have a cobbler making a boot. As you can see, the hammer is a capital resource, right? It's a manufactured good. Um, and so is the leather or whatever he's working with to make the shoe. And we have the entrepreneur. They are a factor of production because they're the person who is organizing everything. They're the person taking a risk to start their own business. So let's say I want to make my own business. I'm going to open a restaurant, and I need to go to my savings account, withdraw all my money, and put it into um, making the building, deciding on the menus, buying tables for the restaurant, buying all the equipment to cook, paying people a salary to make the food and wait the tables. All these things I need to pay the money for, right? I'm risking what I had saved up. If I make very bad food and no one likes my food and stops coming, I'm going to lose out on all that money, right? I'm the one taking the risk. Without someone willing to take a risk, we wouldn't have new businesses. On the other hand, let's say I make the best food and people love my restaurant. Then I'm going to be making a lot of money. The risk would have paid off. I would have made a lot of money. So, our three basic economic questions are what to produce, how are we going to make it, and for whom to produce. This is something that, generally speaking, society ends up deciding. Overall, society ends up deciding. Well, it was my idea, the entrepreneur's idea, to make a restaurant and to hire cooks to make it, right? That's how to produce. And to make it for, say, the people of Ashburn. If the people in Ashburn decide they do not like my food, um, then I'll no longer be able to make it. They decide it in the sense that they decide whether or not I get paid money um, in order to do this, right? They vote with their dollar. So in our system, um, it's really the consumers that have the power or the sovereignty to answer these questions. In other economic systems in other countries, or in only a few, it's the government that can decide. The government can decide what they're going to make, how many they're going to make, what material it's going to be made of, and how much it's going to cost. And when governments guess wrong, things can really go badly. Let's say that the government wanted the country to produce 10 million computers in a year. And in order to reach that, they had to cut the amount of farmers. So they took people who used to be farmers, have them start making computers, and the government guessed wrong. They needed more farmers than they actually had to feed their population. What's going to happen? Yeah, if you guessed people were going to starve, yes, people would starve. This has happened in human history, where people, governments, answered these questions on behalf of the people and led to disastrous results. We can learn about this in a couple weeks. So, um, because resources are scarce, we want to make sure we're efficient. We want to use them the right way. So one of the terms we use to describe this is called marginal benefits. Right? A marginal benefit is how much additional satisfaction or happiness or usefulness we get when one more unit is produced. So we have three pictures here. The one on the left, we have someone who is very thirsty. And if you give them a bottle of water, they'd probably be very happy because they were very thirsty. They'd be very satisfied. There'd be a high marginal benefit. If you have someone who's kind of thirsty, but not really, and you give them a bottle of water, they'll be kind of happy, right? They kind of benefit from the water, but they could have done without it. And then lastly, if we have someone who just got done drinking, 5 bottles of water and you give him another, he won't be happy at all, right? There'll be no marginal benefit to giving that person the bottle of water. So the marginal benefit is just a measurement of how happy people are if one more unit of whatever it is produced. Now, a business will look at marginal benefit. They'll also look at marginal cost. How much money is producing one more thing going to cost them? So let's take a paper company. A paper company, let's say in one day, they can make 1 million pieces of paper. They're operating at full capacity. Their factory, the most it could possibly do is make 1 million pieces of paper in a day. Now, what if the county school system says, all right, we need exactly 1,000,001 pieces of paper to get through the next day. We need 1,000,001 pieces of paper to get through the next day. What happens? The paper company is going to have to make a choice. Are we going to open up a new factory to produce that one piece of paper to make the school board happy? Or are we just going to tell the school board to go somewhere else? It probably wouldn't be too effective for the paper company to open up a whole new factory for one piece of paper. It'd probably cost a whole lot more than it would benefit them. So when you compare marginal benefits to marginal costs, that is called a cost-benefit analysis, right? You're going to weigh the benefits and you're going to weigh the costs. If in the same scenario, the school board said, we need 1,800,000 pieces of paper, and we'll pay you twice as much for the extra 800,000 that we're asking, all of a sudden, it might be worth it for them to open that second factory. It all depends on what the benefit will be and what the cost will be. That is a cost-benefit analysis. All right, that is all I have for you today. Make sure you got this written down in your notes. If you have any questions, be sure to ask. Otherwise, you may continue on. Thank you. Have a good day.